Hey guys, Josh from Solution Based. Next thermostat video is going to be a furnace with an AC. These are relatively simple as far as thermostats go. Certainly heat pump hybrids and heat pumps are going to be more difficult to deal with. Again, remember our principle that we're holding our power, our 24 volt power supply at R. This is closing the circuit. This is the 24 volt neutral. For the logic and our board, the backlights and all that kind of stuff. So when we open up our old thermostat, we're going to see either 4 or 5 wires typically, okay? The first thing I want you to do when you take the faceplate off your thermostat is take a picture of what you have, okay? That's going to save you so much time and shenanigans. Sometimes the colors of the wires don't always line up to what is inside here. So if you have, a blue wire sitting on R, I want you to put that blue wire back on R, because for whatever reason, a technician or someone along the way switched that color. There could have been a bad conductor inside the bundle. There's a couple reasons why something like that can happen. But when you opened it up, your existing system was running with blue as its power wire. The R, we use that for coloration often, but it's not always accurate. You want the 24 volt power supply wire, and in this case, if blue was on R, that's what it is, and you need to make sure that you're replicating that. So first thing you do is you're going to take a picture, okay? I'm going to explain to you what each one of these does. So in a single stage system, okay, you're only going to have, and typically the colors that I give you are typical, you need to take pictures. Y1 is going to turn on your condenser. That means when you have a call for cooling, it's going to energize the Y1 terminal, and it's going to go down to the furnace. It's going to energize Y1. Your condenser is also tied into Y1. It's going to turn on the blower, and it's going to turn on the condenser outside. Sometimes that's done through the logic in the board in the furnace, the turning on of the blower. Sometimes G is turned on, and the logic in here can determine that. Sometimes it'll ask you, do you want G to turn this on or not? And when in doubt, have G turn it on. So sometimes G will energize the furnace. Sometimes that will be done inside of the board. So Y1, G, and G will both energize, and it will turn on your blower and your condenser outside. So when you open this up, you're going to slide your Y1 again. If the color isn't correct, whatever wire was under Y1 typically, you're going to slide it underneath of here. You're going to clip it down. You're going to slide G underneath of here. You're going to clip it down. You're going to slide common underneath of here. You're going to clip it down. You're going to slide R under here, and you're going to clip it down. We'll get into this toggle. For right now, you're going to keep the toggle in the single wire, okay, which is up on a Honeywell. You're going to keep it up. We're going to say you have 5 wires. I'll deal with the 4 wire in a second. So that's going to be all your cooling wires. The only thing you're left with is your W wire, and that is your heating call wire. So when you go into heating mode and it goes above temperature, W1 gets energized. It energizes W1 on your furnace and tells the furnace, hey, we need the blower, we need the inducer motor, and we need the gas valve turned on. It fires the furnace. Once it gets to a certain temperature, the blower turns on, and then it starts heating the house. So that's generally what this system is doing at its most simplest form. Single stage heating, single stage cooling, okay? So when people get in trouble, this is pretty standard stuff. Most people can pull this open, take a picture of it, look at it, slide it back under there, and know what's going on, okay? What I want you to look out for is a couple things. One, this neutral, this common, okay, and this R, okay, are the same thing if you took your 2 wires in your outlet and smacked them together. It's going to spark and trip the breaker, okay? You touch C and you touch R together, you're going to blow the fuse in the board, potentially blow the board itself. There is a fuse in there, and it's designed to protect your board. But one of the #1 things I see people do is I see them touch these 2 wires together, especially when they're pulling the faceplate off. So what I want you to do is turn the system off. Once you take your picture and you're going to change your wires, you're going to pull the old faceplate off. Before you do that, you turn the system off every single time, because if these come in contact with each other, when the system's off, no damage will occur. no problem with the fuse, everything will be okay. You put it all back together, even if they touched, you're fine. Just make sure you turn the switch off on your heating appliance, okay? Super important. Some older systems don't have fuses and you'll just blow the board, okay? The other thing I want you to do is when they come into the side, the wires like this, okay? When you do this, oftentimes you have to strip back a little bit of extra wire. So you'll have casing, see my marker here, you'll have casing around the wire and then you'll have a conductor sticking out of it, okay? What I want you to do when you're stripping that back is I want you to strip back the absolute minimum. There's a little, I'll try to draw it here. There's a little push down that this goes inside of, and you push it down on this side and it receives the wire, okay? Right here, sticking out of here, I want no exposed copper, and here's why. Once you start filling these all in with wires and you're trying to push that plate, the face plate back on, often what happens is that you'll have to bend the wires around, and if you're not paying attention, they can cross over each other. Well, if you strip the absolute minimum and there is actually rubber casing all the way in to your little connection point, then that's not going to create a problem. If you do it and you have a bunch of extra exposed wire, you're going to get all kinds of weird stuff, up to and including blowing the fuse or the board out. But you could also get simple things like if your Y2 and your U wires start crossing, well, you could get dehumidification when you're looking for cooling because it's powering somewhere where it shouldn't be. Or your W1 and your R wire are touching each other. You're going to get heating that is never going to turn off because it's directly powering the heating without actually going through the thermostat's logic. So if you go to push this down, you push it down like this and slide the wire in, okay? Sometimes you can just push it right in, and you see a bunch of copper that's still exposed. I want you to pull that back off and trim that copper down and stick it back in. And if there's still copper exposed, trim it a little more. I want no exposed copper at all because you really don't want those wires to ever touch each other. And if you do those things, you're going to have a much more successful installation for yourself. That's one of the number one, blowing the fuse and having the thermostat having crossover, one of the number one problems we see for people when they do their own thermostats. You're also going to see sometimes additional wires on Y2 and W2. Y2 and W2 are for multi-stage units. Y2 would be second stage cooling, W2 would be second stage heating. You will know because when you pull this off, you're going to have a Y1 and a Y2 wire, and there's going to be wire underneath of them, and you immediately you're going to know, okay, this is set up for two stage, okay? That's important these days because when you put this face back on, this thermostat's going to run you through a bunch of questions, and you're going to have to input what type of system that you have into it. And knowing that you have a two-stage cooling system is super important when you go to program the thermostat. It's not yesterday's programming where you just go, oh, turn on this day and that. You actually have to tell it what it's connected to. It's a little computer and it wants some input from you. So same thing with W2. So you're going to hook these wires up like normal, okay? And then you're going to put the face on it. And then you're going to pull out your manual and it's going to give you a bunch of questions and you're going to have to be able to answer them. Some of those questions are going to be academic because of the wiring. Some of them you may have to look up the model number of your unit to confirm. I would say to you, if you stick with, if there is a wire under Y2 and if there is a wire under W2, that will tell you if you have, sometimes you'll have two-stage cooling or two-stage heating, single-stage cooling. That's really common. And the wires should tell you that. And if you hook it up as it was wired and then program the thermostat as was wired according to the manufacturer's instructions, you should be okay. You can still get yourself in a little bit of trouble. And again, if you're calling Residio or you're calling Nest, their customer support is outstanding. So really, I just want you to be mindful of what you're doing, set this base level, make sure that your wires are trimmed as short as they can possibly be, take a picture before you do it, follow our how to pick your thermostat before you do this so that you can make sure you have a compatible thermostat. That's also going to tell you more than likely if you have two-stage heating and cooling. It's going to tell you because you already did that by looking at what model you have of air conditioner outside, what type of furnace you have. Those things are going to be, you should have already looked into that and know, hey, this is what I have. I have two-stage, I have this, I have that. So that's what I want you guys to do. That's going to help you miss a lot of pitfalls, especially the trimming. turning the furnace off and not letting C and R touch each other when this thing's energized, it's going to save you a ton of headaches. Thanks, guys.